When it comes to loyalty to a genre in film, I'd say you'd be hard-pressed to argue horror fans aren't at the top of the proverbial pile. From bargain bins to Blumhouse, horror fans have a lot to trawl through, as it's traditionally been the cheapest genre to produce, and with that naturally comes a lot of, what's the nice way to put it, less than stellar entries.
Wait, you dig on multiverses?
With that in mind, today I've got together a handful of films across the horror spectrum to recommend, and hopefully I can sell at least a couple of them to you over the next 10 minutes or so. So, starting off, these aren't the most obscure possible, so I want the first dose to be films that most people can access, aside from one or two later on. But if this does okay for my standards anyway, I've got a few more out there entries for a future list. Pontypool. In short, Pontypool is the film that Hideo Kojima knocked off for the plot of MGS5. We're saddled with renegade DJ Grant Mazzy as he brings us the news from the small town of Pontypool, bringing reports of the weather from the Sunshine Chopper as well as some strange updates of riots with unknown origins. Pontypool doesn't bring the scares in a traditional sense, it dances around the terror with colourful personalities and offbeat humour, whilst hinting at some great unfortunate event unfolding slightly beyond our character's reach. For fans of black comedy or atmospheric horror, I would definitely say tune into your local station for your daily dose. Let's switch the pace up. We travel over to future Tokyo. The police are privatized and a great threat to humanity has emerged. Engineers, monsters that grow powerful appendages when a limb is lost. It is the job of the chick from Audition and the dude with a megaphone in his neck to restore peace and instill order of the righteous and ever-powerful Tokyo police force. I mean, you can see the clips playing, you already know if you rock with this or not. If you do, I'll also throw in a quick little recommendation, basically for all of Nishimura's work. Mutant Girl Squad, Hell Driver, although I'd say start with Gore Police, as it's his best realised world. Dude is at the peak of splatterhouse effects, and whilst it's not exactly the most thought-provoking set of films, if you can grab a couple of mates to mong out with you, I think it's a real good time all around.
The program you're about to watch is a unique live investigation of the supernatural. It contains material which some viewers may find to be disturbing.
I never thought I'd recommend anything with Craig Charles in it that wasn't Red Dwarf, but here we are. A one-time airing Halloween special by the BBC, Ghostwatch follows Sarah Green as herself, the on-ground reporter exploring the supposedly most haunted house in Britain. Honestly, I'll admit to you that I do get a little bit more out this being a Brit, just from seeing Michael Parkinson and Craig Charles trying to run a semi-serious ghost hunt, but aside from that, there are some quite genuine scares throughout the whole thing. A lot more than you'd expect from scheduled BBC programming. Like I mentioned earlier, this was a one-time airing. It has never touched programming since its fake broadcast on Halloween night in 1992. More than 20,000 actual viewers tried ringing into the phone line given out on the show, as unsuspecting parents had traumatized children. Apparently a vicar phoned in to complain because he didn't realise the BBC was in league with demonic forces. Despite that, the whole piece isn't something that relies on the initial impact really. It still holds up as a bona fide ghost story in its own right, and gave me more chills than I expected. Two women scorned in life exact their revenge in death, returning as cat-like spirits, luring samurai into their abode and ripping their throats out whilst in the throes of passion. From the legendary director of Onibaba, Kaneta Shindo showcases deadly seduction as the key theme rippling throughout Kuroneko. A rebellion of female revenge against the men that cross them in life, and whilst it may not hold up particularly in the scares department, the crushing atmosphere created as you watch their prey fall deeper and deeper into the trap has not diminished in the years that passed this film by. Classically, the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown. This fear permeates throughout Cure as a string of murders start occurring with no known motive or pattern beyond a singular cross mark drawn in the victim's neck. Cure plays with you, making you lean in and examine it, trying to find a true reason for the atrocities playing out in front of you. The audience is a willing participant in the case, whether we like it or not. Each frame begs inspection, as if the answer is just out of reach somewhere. The film is something I may come back to in a longer form because it's not fair for me to ruin any of it in a recommendation video. If I do, it'll be alongside its spiritual cousin from the same director, Pulse, as a depression double feature. If I do or don't, I'll leave this recommendation for you to explore by yourself. Back in the realm of the psychological for this one. They Look Like People delves into the life of Wyatt, a man reconnecting with his best friend Christian, and his subsequent paranoia that creatures may be bringing about the world's end. The film holds a steady grip on hints at either side of the spectrum to what could be really happening, whether the creatures are a product of schizophrenia or a real tangible threat, culminating in a climax which got me right in the stomach. Not much I can say about this one without spoiling it. Give it a try. For a first-time outing from writer-director Perry Blackshear, I think it's a cracker. I haven't got around to seeing his follow-up The Siren, but if it's anything close to this, it should be a treat. Noroi The Curse, a film which actively made me pause and pace around my room whilst watching and put me back to a simpler time when I used to get scared by stuff like the Tim Curry clown. Noroi fucked me up. It's got such a rich atmosphere about every place and person involved in this mock documentary. You really get a sense that you shouldn't be watching, like you've somehow been contaminated by the information that's been disclosed. We follow paranormal investigator Masafumi Kobayashi as he tries to track down the source of various disappearances that all seem to have loose ties to an ancient village demon. Basically, he's sticking his nose in where he really shouldn't, and we get to go along for the ride. Like with a few things on this list, I don't want to get into spoiler territory. Just take my testimony that I haven't not thought about it at least every couple of weeks since watching it nearly 6 months ago. Sometimes I struggle to express why I enjoy certain films. It's the same idea of people struggling to express their emotions. The feeling that telling someone that something hurt you and it will somehow make you seem weak or vulnerable. I've never got behind the idea that media is something that should make you feel good or fulfilled. An experience from film doesn't have to be uplifting or satisfying for me. What I want from it is to try and make me want to understand the way it makes me feel. Films that ask you to be an active emotional participant no matter the sensation the movie elicits. Here's where difficulty breathing comes in. an audio-sensory assault of a picture that puts you in the place of our leading lady. We struggle as she does, her distress reflecting in an auditory onslaught that invites us into her delusion of emotional and sexual abuse. A chilling commentary on what a single incident can do to a person's psyche. As genuinely a harrowing experience as you can find from a film that looks like it was made for $100 and a couple of sandwiches. As said in the intro, this is one of the ones that's harder to find, but if you can get your hands on this, I highly encourage you to do so. So yeah, hopefully one of these tickles your fancy. I tried to pick from a wide range of horror subgenres to make sure there was something for everyone. Obviously, if anyone saw my previous video, this is a bit of a deviation, but I do plan to do a mix of analytical and easy to digest content. Also obvious is the gap between them, but I hope that's a one-time thing, as the anxiety of hearing my own voice eases. It feels good to work and make stuff, so I'll try to keep it up. If this does do any traction, I'll probably crank another one out in a couple of months. Maybe not the same genre, but just a small recommendation list. I'm just a fledgling in film myself, and there's always much more to explore, so thanks again for watching.